UFC 303, the recap. Ray Sauya. You almost got a twister in round two. It was pretty hype. I was quite entertained by a grappling match for once. It's good to see an entertaining grappling match. It wasn't boring. There was constant position changes. I really like when a grappling match is just full of constant scrambles. And I've been saying for a while we need to get some like Japanese talents and that kind of region of the world talent because they've got this style of grappling. Let's not forget that Japan is the home of karate and judo, right? And judo is like the father of jiu-jitsu. And without jiu-jitsu, we wouldn't have the UFC. Technically, without BJJ, you wouldn't have the UFC because it was like a market employee. So it's about time we go full circle and we start getting some real Japanese talent into the organization. Who knows? There could be a surge of Japanese talent. I don't think Ray Sauyu is the guy, like the next big scene, the next big thing on the scene. But I think he could get himself up there. He's a good fighter, and it'll be interesting to see. Hernandez definitely exposed some holes in the game of Sauya. So see how it goes for him moving forward. Maybe one to keep an eye on. Andrei Arlovski. Let me start this portion of the video with a question. What was the first fight that you ever saw? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to leave a like while you're down there. I tell people the first fight that I ever watched was at WEC 53. I entered the room as a little child to see Anthony Pettis run along the cage and deliver a Showtime kick to Benson Henderson. That was the first thing I ever saw, is what I tell people. But realistically, that's probably the fight that I remember that made like a core that made me fall in love with the sport. To be fair, that cemented itself as a core memory. But realistically, my mum's favorite fighter is Andrei Arlovski. Yeah, my mum's an MMA fan. My mum's favorite fighter is Andrei Arlovski, and she's been watching him for a while, which means more likely the first fight I ever saw was when I was a little sprog in a walker watching my mother's VHS of Andrei Arlovski, and I just don't have the memory of it because I was far too young. So yeah, the first fight I ever saw was probably an Andrei Arlovski fight. Crazy, innit? He's been fighting for 24 years. I'm 25. I was 1 when he first started fighting in the UFC. He's been fighting in the UFC for nearly my entire life. It's just crazy to think about. Anyway, don't forget to let me know what was the first fight you ever saw. And don't forget to leave a like while you're down there. Helps out a lot. Peyton Tablet. Now, I've been keeping an eye on Peyton Tablet for a while. I picked him to beat Cameron Simon. I think he's the next big thing. To be honest, I really like him. I'm a big Peyton Tablet fan. I like his style. He's got the power. He's got the technique. He's got the precision. I'm a big fan. Some people say he's the next O'Malley. I don't think so. O'Malley has a loss on his record. Peyton Tablet doesn't yet. No, he's good. He's one to keep an eye on. Maybe not an O'Malley, but we'll see in the future, right? People talk about him like he's going to be a better O'Malley. We'll see. Nonetheless, very good fight, very entertaining fight. Peyton Tablet definitely want to keep an eye on. Joe Pyfer, the lock of the card. Got a KO in round one. Didn't look very difficult at all, let's be honest. Didn't really expect it to be difficult. Thing I wanted to mention was the commentator just had to remind us that Joe Pyfer hits harder than Ngannou. And I'm sick of hearing this. Not because I don't think Pyfer hits as hard as Ngannou. He very well may do. That was an incredible knockout. But I'm sick of them bringing up the name of Ngannou to like try and knock Ngannou down a peg. Like, oh yeah, he only hits as hard as Joe Pyfer hits harder, and he's a middleweight. Is kind of like the idea why they mention that so much. Is in my opinion, that's why they mention that so much, and it's kind of an attempt to knock Ngannou down a peg. But it's just a bit sad, to be honest. Look, Dana, Hunter, fuck John Jones, okay? Stop protecting him from Aspinall. Aspinall will destroy him in every single position. Ngannou would have knocked John Jones out. Okay? You're making heavyweight really, really, really stinky, and the entire fan base hates it. Unless you're a John Jones dick rider. Sorry again for the aside. I'm just sick of watching the UFC cope with the fact that they lost Ngannou and they're stuck with Jones. Ian Garry won the decision over MVP. It was the worst fight I've seen in a good while. Had so much potential, squandered all of it. MVP did nothing but just dance around, bouncing and bouncing. Didn't really do much. MVP was landing more on Garry, to be fair. He landed more significant strikes, but I think Garry threw more overall. Just weren't connecting. He couldn't find him. He couldn't find MVP. MVP was faster. MVP was more accurate. But it's Ian Garry, and Ian Garry decided, you know what? We're gonna make this into a bit of a grappling match. And so Ian Garry kind of scraped his way to a win by just maintaining dominant position in a fight that was fairly even in the stand-up. I think MVP edged out the stand-up, but you can't disregard the fact that Ian Garry was on the back and he was working towards a submission. Technically, he was closer to ending the fight. So yeah, in more instances, Ian Garry was closer to ending the fight because of the grappling. So yeah, you have to give it to Garry. Not that it was a good fight. I could see both guys' stock going down tremendously after this one. I know Twitter was still fucking dissing Garry, like he's been exposed and stuff. Really, it was MVP who was exposed. We knew that his stand up was where he flourished, though. So yeah, maybe he doesn't do well with people on his back. That's typical of an MVP fight, though. That's the other thing, is that Brendan Schaub called this being a boring fight, and Joe Rogan fucking gave him shit for it. So Joe Rogan owes Brendan Schaub an apology. Big up Brendan Schaub, the man sees the future. Yeah, I could see Garry winning his next couple fights, getting a few easier fights under the belt. Should have fought Colby. That's fine. Colby's a pussy. Simple as that. I think he would have destroyed Colby. It would have been an entertaining fight if he'd have fought Colby. So, what a shame. And I think MVP's future in the UFC is probably somewhat more of a gatekeeper than a title contender. I don't think MVP is going to get very far with them kind of holes in his game. If you can get a hold of him, if you can get him down, he's not going to get up, and you're going to be scoring points the whole time against him, and he's not going to be able to do much about it. So yeah, I could see him become a lot more of a gatekeeper type in the UFC. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I don't think he's getting near a title though. Ian Garry still might. Ian Garry is still good. It's just wasn't a very good fight. It hurts their stock, in my opinion. Roman Dolidze beat Roman Dolidze beat Anthony Smith. Anthony really showed us all that with a little bit of schizophrenia and some determination, you could legitimately break into his house and steal all of his shit. Roman Dolidze won the decision. He called out Khamzat after it. It was a pretty dull fight. Why is Anthony Smith called the Lionheart if he doesn't do anything? He just lets himself get beaten up. He just lets himself get controlled on the ground. He doesn't do anything. He just survives. He's just like, yeah. If I just hang on for my life, I'll probably make it to the end of this round, and then I'll be able to do that again next round. You're here to fight. You're here to win. Fucking make something happen. There was just so much fear, so much hesitation from Anthony Smith, and it's like he's delusional. All the shit that Anthony Smith talks, and yet putting up performances like that. The fuck. But yeah, Roman Dolidze, he called out Khamzat Chimaev, I do believe. I think Khamzat probably, outside of the first round, probably beats up Dolidze. I think Khamzat's got better stand-up than Dolidze, and I don't think Dolidze's grappling's really going to even it out that much. Maybe early on. But no, I think Khamzat smashes Dolidze. I think that's probably how it goes. The final fight that I'm going to talk about today, Alex Pereira versus Jiří Procházka. Alex is something else. If not already the GOAT, he's definitely in contention for the greatest of all time. And move to heavyweight, and like some wins at heavyweight, shit, if he gets a title at heavyweight, that shit could cement it. But that's not going to happen because, you know, the whole John Jones situation. Let's talk about the fight. Jiří Procházka ate like 3 or 4 of those left hooks from Alex. Fairly cleanly as well. And each time they definitely hurt, but he didn't go down. And then it was the last one in the last second of the first round. And it was beautiful. It was clean. It was a counter left hook, I think. Counter left hook. Dropped Jiří on his arse. Jiří definitely looked out, but he was saved by the bell. How fortunate. And then it became like a film, like a movie. Jiří Procházka got up after, you know, beckoning Alex to the ground, even though the round was over. He gets up, he goes to his corner, and there's a moment. It's like Rocky, and he's like, you know what, this is my chance. I've just survived. I'm like Buster Douglas. I've just survived being knocked down by Mike Tyson, and now I want to get up and I want to put a beating on him. And that's how he came out. He came out and he stood toe to toe once more in the center, and Alex there. They stood toe to toe once more in the center, and you thought, wow, what's Jiří going to do? Jiří didn't get to do anything because almost immediately, Alex Pereira decapitated them with the fastest fucking head kick I've seen in a while. Absolutely put him to sleep. Crowd goes crazy. The fight gets stopped immediately. Then the lifeless body of Jiří Procházka drags itself up off the ground on unsteady legs and just kind of no consciousness in the eyes, just blank, literally like a zombie, just staring off into the distance as he wobbles there, clearly not knowing where he is, and everyone's telling the fight's over. The fight's over. You got knocked out, man. And you can see like he just couldn't accept it in the moment. He was like, oh shit, really? I thought that was pretty cool though. Yeah, he got knocked out, but like like Jiří says, you know, he might get knocked out, but he doesn't quit. And his lifeless body climbed up off the floor to continue fighting. The fight should have been stopped when it was stopped. Obviously it was a good decision. He was out cold. He was out on his feet at the end there when he stood back up. So yeah, but it's cool to see that Jiří isn't just talk. His lifeless body, his unconscious body, will stand up to fight for him if need be, it's fun to see. Willing, you know, willing to die trying to win, which is respectable, I suppose. It was beautiful and sad all at once, to be honest. I was kind of gutted for Jiří. You could see it in his eyes. It was like that round 2 was going to be his little rallying moment, and Pereira just said no, shut that shit right down. It was a decent card. Put it this way: if I had paid money to see McGregor live, like see McGregor in person, fucking in a stadium, and I paid McGregor money, and I got that card, I'd be seeking some compensation. Not that it was the worst card ever. I will say that again. It wasn't like the worst card ever. It was a decent card, but it wasn't a McGregor card. You know. Honestly, it's not been a good start to the year for the UFC. It's really not. It's just not been a good year for the UFC all round so far. I say a good start. Getting on a bit now, but yeah, it's you know, it's a shame really. It's all these stacked cards that keep falling through and not happening, and we end up cobbling things together. And they've been okay. They've not been bad, but you know, it's not what we expect as fans from the UFC. Anyway, I've talked long enough. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Hope you're not too bummed out if someone you wanted to win lost. Don't forget to leave a like on the video. Don't forget to comment down below what was the first fight you ever saw. Peace and love, guys. I'll see you around.